And
This is a CCP system.
yeah,
This is what they're doing. They're modeling themselves. Our culture is being modeled on CCP system in China.
Well, and that's
Social credit score.
That's because of who's in the government. So if we can talk about this, I really think it's important because there's a lot of people online that are complaining about a certain country, and I understand, okay? We're talking about Israel, okay? I understand what Israel is doing in the United States as far as lobbying and all that stuff. Guess what? China's doing it too. And so is Russia, and so is any other country that is going to get in this, country-wide gangbang that has been going on for a long time, okay? That's why we've been getting screwed. When Donald Trump came in and said, we're not doing this anymore, then their local whore decided to no longer be a whore, but now what we're seeing, though, is that, look at it like this. In Sun Tzu, Art of War, he said that if you want to know who your spies are, what you do is you take each of your generals into your tent individually, and you give them each a different piece of disinformation. And then when a certain piece of disinformation pops up in the enemy camp, you know who your spies are. You know where your leak is at. So it's like putting a different color dye in each of your different little,
dye holders.
Yeah. So the idea here is that if we look and see who's pushing this Chinese agenda, this New World Order, One World Government, UN 2030 agenda, we see the dye in the water. We can see the networks of news organizations, newspapers, magazines, social media influencers, celebrities. We get to see the whole globalist apparatus if we know what to look for.
yeah. I mean that the influence of globalist organizations like the WTO, the International Monetary Fund, those kind of things are something that our viewers are actually really familiar with. Like they're pretty. I think they're pretty read in on the dangers of the UN, the dangers of continuing to be a part of those organizations, and it's at least my sense that we really dodged a bullet with Donald Trump, being elected this time. And I've said
Literally.
before, yeah, literally.
They tried to kill him when they could not keep him out through all the other mechanisms. They tried to kill him.
Really.
And God had other plans.
That's right.
I've said more than once that leading up to the election, I didn't think Donald Trump was going to win. And the reason I didn't think
this time?
This time, yeah. I didn't think Donald Trump was going to win because I didn't think that he was going to be allowed to win, right? So I really had thought that the powers that be, the establishment, the entrenched bureaucracy had enough control over the media and enough influence over the population where there just wasn't going to be the votes. And if there were
going to be something,
and if it was close, they would have the means to fix it. And I tell you what, I've never been happier to be wrong.
They tried.
But it also not only does it does make me happy that I was wrong, but it also gives me more hope than I would have had, probably in the past 4 years. And the situation, as much as the stuff that you've gone through, like I don't want to minimize it at all, but the things that happened to you guys have really made the American people aware of how bad things were. And I think that,
how bad they can get.
Yeah. And I don't want to, I don't want to wish, I don't want to say, that it was a good thing, but if it wasn't for people like you guys that went through this and have the courage to speak up and say, look, these are problems in our country. And just like you're talking about bringing to light things like Yuri Bezmenov and demoralization and those kind of leftist tactics, and shining a light on how much influence the left had, how these tactics actually have been used historically. Everyone that's over a certain age is aware of the way the Soviets behaved, right? Like I'm pushing 50, and when you're a Gen X, you can still remember what the Cold War was like when you were little. And you saw the way that other countries had coups and stuff and the things that the United States would end up pushing back on. Nowadays, most people have the sense that all of the efforts that the United States was making in the Cold War were all they were the bad guys. They were wrong for doing it. They should have let et cetera happen. And they don't even realize that all the things that the left has done in all these smaller countries, they've been doing here. And so again, I think that your experience speaks to that, and I don't want to say that it's good.
Well, I
appreciate it.
I think I just have to say, America, you're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, there you go.
From all of us.
What can I say except you're welcome? We have an opportunity here unlike any other before. Okay, because for the longest time, conspiracy theorists were marginalized. Now we know they're the experts.
Yeah. We were right, and Trump was right.
And we also are in the midst of a transformation in collective consciousness. We won the culture war. Okay, that's why you were thinking, I don't know, are we going to be able to pull this off? Because what we're talking about here is the collective mind. You were saying on January 6th, the collective mind was like, well, it looks like we're kind of screwed. But if you weren't watching the media in 2024 and you were just watching, the rallies and who was showing up, then you knew Kamala Harris didn't stand a chance, right? So the PSYOP, any and all PSYOPs, is about controlling the collective mind of the people. And the way you do that is through neuro-linguistic programming. Trigger words, trigger images, deadly insurrection, my image out there, violent image.
Riot?
Riot. Deadly virus.
To that point, right? Like riot. It was they surpassed riot and they called January 6th an insurrection.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though there is no historical allegory for that. There was nothing about January 6th that looked like an actual insurrection. And dare I say, from an outside perspective, there was really no question about whether or not Joe Biden was going to be sworn in as president that day, right? There were people that were hoping that Mike Pence would do something that was unprecedented.
Right.
But really, like that from at least from my perspective, again, I was
outside chance.
Yeah, I was. It was so far outside of likelihood that it was almost a guarantee that even though these people were protesting, there was not going to be any other outcome other than Joe Biden being sworn in as president.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon. So subscribe and come hang out.